Hey, what's up everybody? In today's video, we're gonna be talking all about fruit tree care. We've got several dozen fruit trees here at our school garden, from everything from citrus to our stone fruits to apples and pears and beyond, pluots and apriums. So a couple storms have just passed. The weather is actually really beautiful today, and so we're gonna take a stroll through the garden so you can see the different steps that our trees are in. Some are in full bloom, some are past bloom, and some even actually have some fruit already developing on them. So let's take a look. So I was actually going to focus on our dormant fruit trees, our deciduous ones, but you can see our citrus here. We've been harvesting like crazy, getting some of the last of the season's fruit off. And then pretty soon we'll get in here. We will trim off any branches that aren't desirable or dead or diseased, get them cleaned up, any suckers, and then we will get them fertilized. And that's actually going to be a big theme for a lot of our fruit trees today. You can see our lemon tree here. We've been getting the last bit of that harvest as well. Here's our other lemon tree that we've pruned back, and we've actually grafting a bunch of other varieties of fruit to it. We've got some blood orange on there, and some some kumquats and some different varieties of mandarin. So we're looking forward to that. But let's set our sights on our deciduous fruit trees. Right here we have an aprium tree, the cotton candy one, and here's one where we'll start with. And this is a really cool thing to see is we actually have some fruit developing right there already. And so you can see that's where we had some blossoms just a few weeks ago. It was covered in flowers just like these. And we had some bee activity, and which was great to see. But you can see what left behind is all these little green fuzzies that you can see. That's the aprium fruit starting to develop. So that's a good sign. Hopefully we can keep these on there. We've had some pretty gnarly weather, some high winds, a lot of rain, all the things you really don't want, even a late kind of frost. But for the most part, we still have some fruit developing on this tree. It's kind of covered to a degree on most of these branches, have pretty good clusters of fruit developing. So hopefully we'll be able to maintain that fruit as it develops. So we have plenty of moisture in the ground, but one thing I'm going to come in and do, and I'll have to make a separate video on, but I'm going to have to update all the irrigation on a lot of these fruit trees, at least on most of them, because they've grown so much these past few years that I'm noticing that the irrigation is just inadequate. This one I actually got broken earlier last week, so it needs repairing anyways. But almost every fruit tree in today's video needs to have some update to its irrigation, and a lot of it has to do with just elongating and bringing out we have drip line in there, so we want to bring it out further away from the trunk, so that way it's actually more directly underneath that outer canopy. The roots they've just developed. They're not, you don't really need to water the trunk when they're at this stage. So we'll get them all updated. But here is a 3-in-1 cherry tree, and you can see this is actually the first time it's starting to pop. It's the last one of the whole row out of all 30 plus fruit trees. It's the last one to bloom for us. It probably needs a little bit more of a haircut, but I'm actually happy to see it bloom. So hopefully in the next few days it'll just get covered. Here's a peach tree. So you can see this one is actually already bloomed out really hard. You can see the blossoms kind of still holding on there, which is actually a good sign. It kind of, always kind of spooks me out when all the blossoms fade completely away and drop away. But hopefully we'll get some good pollination from this, and hopefully that some of these flowers actually did get pollinated, and that we can actually get some fruit, because this peach tree is just delicious. And you can see, hopefully, as it looks like right now, no peach leaf curl. We did spray in the dormant season with a dormant spray, the liquid cop. I think I got 2 really good applications in. Usually I like to get 3, but it just didn't work out this year with the weather and the timing. But 2 really solid applications, and I'm not seeing any curly leaves or damage. And so if there is, I'll make a video on it to show it off, but I think it's looking pretty good. We've also pruned it really well. And so hopefully this one, all those flowers, you can kind of see them in there. Those are all going to be potential peaches, which is just great. And so this one, same thing. We're going to update its irrigation. What we've done recently is actually cut out, we had some pollinators right around it, and they're just getting a little bit too friendly with each other. So we had to cut them back a little bit. And so further on, here we go. So here's one that's also in full kind of leaf mode. It's leafed out, but I wanted to show you, and let me get an angle. This is a 3-in-1 pluot, so 3 different varieties of pluot on this tree. And you can actually see, hopefully I'll get a good angle there, but there actually are tons of little fruits developing. I don't know if you can see that. You can see one right there. And so hopefully, like same thing, it's still not too late to lose some of these. I've seen some of them fail as they develop, but what's great is if we can take good care of this tree, and actually right now is a really great time of the year to fertilize your trees. I always like to go organic, so will you be using an organic fruit tree fertilizer? We'll probably be giving it a little top dressing of compost, and like I said, and then updating the irrigation system. Here's a good shot of that, so you can see how close to the trunk this is. This tree has just really been growing, so it's time to bring that irrigation line out further away from the center of that tree. But and then like I said, and then feed it, because as look at right here. Oh my gosh, look at all those fruits on their way. And pluots are some of my favorite fruit to eat, my favorite things to eat. They're like nature's candy. They're so juicy. The flesh has this wonderful texture. And what's cool is 3 main trunks on this one. Each trunk is a completely separate variety. So they all will ripen at slightly different times, and they're just delicious. Oh my gosh, they all look a little different. They all taste a little different. But this tree we've cut back, it's probably about 8 feet tall right now, and maybe like 10 feet wide. I could probably even give it one last cut to bring it down just a little bit shorter. But I don't know, maybe I'll just let it go and then give it a pruning later in the summer. But for now, this one is covered in little potential fruits, developing fruits. You can see them right in here. And I know it's really hard for me to get it focused on there, but and I apologize, but they're just covered. So the pluots are looking good, and you can see their blossoms look just like that. So a few weeks back, it was covered, just absolutely covered in blossoms. I probably have video of that. But you can see all these trees they're different varieties, and they're all at different spots along the way. Here's another stone fruit. I forget if this is a nectarine or a peach. Maybe people who know can just by the blossom. I'll have to wait for this one to fruit. And this is one that's been really tall. And so over the last few years, I've been working to kind of bring down the canopy. And you can see it's finally starting to work. It actually has pretty kind of nice lollipop shape to it. But it's really, when we first got it, it was such an elongated tree that just was stretching, and really took a few seasons of really pruning it back to get it proper shape. Same thing with a lot of these ones on this hill. We got them and they were kind of like throwaways. And so it's been a few years in the running, and we've been trying to get them shaped up. You can see we do have a lot of grafts. I've been grafting like a madman these last few weeks, and so far so good. You can see that the buds are still kind of swelling up, and so it doesn't look half bad. There's actually a lot more on a lot of the other trees, so I've been checking on them, and our grafts so far look good, look really good. And so you can see this tree is also just starting to bloom. It's kind of interesting to see them all at different spots, different stages along the pathway, but just look how beautiful this one is. This is gonna have so much fruit. We're probably gonna have to end up thinning it out. It's just sometimes we get addicted to seeing all the fruit, but if you can be patient and maybe thin them out as they develop, maybe I'll do another video on that, because then you can get larger, you get fewer but larger, healthier fruits, and then sometimes the limbs kind of appreciate the thinning out as well. You don't want broken limbs. But this is one I was excited to show off today in today's video. Does anyone know what this is? Please let us know in the comments. This is a 20th century pear, and we actually have grafted a couple different pear varieties onto it. You can see, here's one we did a few years ago, and God, look how thick it already is. That was just a graft from like 2 years ago, and it is like massive now. It's like a broomstick, and there's another one over there, you can see it, and then another one down here where we grafted as well. So if you haven't grafted before, I highly suggest it. It's really easy to do, and I've had a lot of success with it myself. And I don't even use the proper tools. and it still works out, which is great. But you can see look at that. That's all potential fruit that we're gonna enjoy. You see all these flowers right in here. It just needs a little bee activity. Now, if you're afraid that you don't have enough bees where you're at and your tree's short enough and you've got enough time on your hands, get in there with a little paintbrush. And you can just dab it around, and just like a little tiny paintbrush, and you don't need to put paint on it. Just use that paintbrush as an imitation bee, and you can just go from flower to flower and kind of hopefully ensuring you get some pollination. But ultimately, for a lot of us, we don't have that time or whatever, so just plant a lot of flowers that are attractive to bees, and hopefully you'll get a lot of bees to help you out. Here is a 5-in-1 that we planted just last year. This is a 5 different variety of plum. We planted it last year, probably around this time, and then it sprung up over the summer and went from like being a few feet tall to like 14 feet tall. So we had to bring down the canopy a little bit because it was very vertical, had a lot of very straight vertical growth. So we've been working on trying to get that canopy to split and fork and scaffold out. And so you can see 5 main trunks there, and some of them are in bloom, some of them have leaves already. Really excited to see that. But here's a good contrast right here. You can see one stone fruit in full bloom, one that's already bloomed, and then starting to produce some fruit. So you can see right in there, you see that those are peaches already forming up, which is just exciting to see. The first of the season. Yep. Now, so here we did spray these trees a little bit, but here, just a little bit of peach leaf curl, just a little bit. And you can leave it on there. You don't have to pop it off the tree, but just a very small amount, thankfully, because they did get sprayed. Like I said, I got 2 out of my 3, so that's how it goes. Let's see here. Yep. One last tree, full bloomed up, and it's like between bloom and pushing out, it's greenery, and then another beautiful one. This is another one that we've been trying to train from being too vertical, too tall, and so I've been trying to bring it down. It's on a hill as well, so it's kind of slanted, and so we're kind of pruning it so that way it has a nice shape and a good healthy canopy, but doesn't want to fall over on the hill or doesn't want to just grow straight to the moon. Another pluot tree already in full go. It's got leaves, it's leafing out, and it's covered in small developing fruit, so its flowers have already been pollinated. And here's just one last one to leave you on. We're just enjoying all of our stone fruit. It's just fun to see them bloom out. And like I said, this is really good time to do any updates to your irrigation, to make any last prunings, cuts that maybe you noticed that you didn't notice before. Add some mulch. You don't want to pile it up around the trunk, but around the base is good, or top dressing of compost. And of course, fertilize. I love organic fertilizer, especially for the fruit trees. That way they just have nutrition slowly throughout the season, and then you can add it as you go, as needed. Here's a 4-in-1 right here. Different, plums and apricots and peaches on there. And we've been grafting up a few more varieties as well. But you can see the whole tree is in, 3 or 4 different stages itself. But yeah, just feed your trees. Like I said, fix any irrigation. Sometimes you have broken lines or you need to update it, so that way it's actually feeding out where the roots are. It'll make a big difference. Fruit trees don't need to always be soggy or anything like that, but to have nice, deep, solid, infrequent waterings as needed. It can be just really helpful to have that drip system, so you're not out there hand watering or worrying about it, or using a sprinkler or something. The drip really makes just a massive difference. But that's our orchard for this time of year. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your own home orchards are doing great, and I'd love to hear about it and see what you're doing. So you guys take care now. Ta-ta for now. And if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I want to thank you for staying on this long, because I appreciate it. Hope you're all doing well. Happy gardening to you all. And of course, never stop growing.